Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. You join me today, as you can see, with a BMW M140i. To be honest, a legendary car for my channel at least. Of course, everyone remembers my car, the one that I built from stock to a bit of a monster, if I do say so myself, over the course of about 3 years. These cars are getting ever popular out there in the market and in the modified car scene. They're a very unique package from what they offer, and really they are very highly tunable, hence why they are so popular. And because I do know them so well, and because, like I said, so many people are out there buying these cars and wanting to basically see what they're like, I thought it'd be a cool idea to basically compile together any notable points or things which I know and remember from my ownership to anyone out there looking to buy one. And so a bit of a buyer's guide really to anyone out there looking to buy a BMW M140. So as you can see, this car is of course not stock and is actually owned by a good friend of mine, Jack. You can find his Instagram linked down below, but it is wrapped in a Nosotec Midnight Purple, a really, really nice color with so much depth in it, as you can see with the kind of evening sunshine that we have here today. We have the M2 competition style front end as well, yellow DRLs. It's actually running a Stage 2 Plus package as well with the Supra B58 TU high pressure fuel pump and some lowering springs, bits and bobs like that, full exhaust, etc, etc. So it's a really nice setup car actually, and to be honest, there isn't really that much you need to do to really unlock these cars, and that is going to be a point which I will raise a little bit later on. But I think we'll get cracking with point one anyway, and basically give you guys some tips for anyone out there looking to buy, well, I suppose not only an M140i but also an M240i, because of course the 240i being the coupe version based off of the 2 Series fairly obviously, of course sharing the same engine, the B58, a legendary engine, and has so much potential out there in the tuning and aftermarket world. Now, for the first point, it's actually going to go quite serious quite quick, and that is to do with insurance. You know, everyone needs to deal with insurance, especially when you're modifying them. Things can get quite expensive quite quick. And because these cars are now getting so popular, and unfortunately more and more are getting written off, the insurance is going up, unfortunately. Now, of course, insurance is different for every single person. It's based off so many different variables, and so it's impossible for me to really give you exact quotes for some of you guys watching from where you live, what your job is, how many years no claims you've got, etc, etc. For me, insurance wasn't too bad because I had mine before these cars really took off in terms of the modified scene really, but I had it on a multi-car policy and it was about £1,000, I believe. My advice though would be to shop around. Really take your time getting the insurance sorted on one of these cars. It can be a pain and it's more than likely going to be quite expensive, unfortunately. But as I said, it honestly varies on so many different factors. But yes, definitely do some kind of rough quotes before you pull the trigger on one, because I know some people that I know have been kind of not stung, but it's been a bit of an inconvenience getting the thing insured. And in fact, Jack used to own another M140i, but a few years ago had to sell it because his insurance literally went through the roof. So yeah, something to be wary about, but of course is different from person to person. Now, partially moving on from that to actually a kind of side point really, to explain why a lot of these cars are getting written off. And to be honest, it is quite obvious. You've got a short wheelbase, you've got a big engine, most likely with a lot of power, and of course you have rear wheel drive. These cars from standard, from factory, do not come with a limited slip diff. And having owned mine from stock, I can vouch that they can bite you very quick. They are pretty sketchy. I mean, even standard, these things have about 340 horsepower with short little wheelbase and an open diff at the back. It is really the recipe for disaster. You do get some fairly skinny tires, really, all things considered, with this car, so be careful. I mean, if this is the first rear-wheel drive car you will be owning, be careful, take it steady, especially if you're going to modify it. But to be honest, having done pretty much every single modification you possibly can to one of these things, I would highly recommend a limited slip diff. Even if you're going to do no other modifications, you just want the car to drive better, do a limited slip diff. It will be a huge improvement and will just make things a little bit more predictable if you do start sliding, whether it's intentional or not. Moving towards the inside of the car though, to an interior which, yes, is nice and fairly up together in terms of technology, but compared to some of its rivals, is actually quite behind. I know I'm getting pretty nitpicky here, but things like Apple CarPlay or a fully digital dash do not come as standard or are not even possible with these cars. You can code in Apple CarPlay to the car as long as you have the ProNav. I actually had to retrofit the whole ProNav system on my car to then get CarPlay. But something like that, I mean, this is a 2019 car. Comparing that to, say, a Mark 7.5 Golf R or some of the Audis like maybe a TTRS, something like that. They, I'm pretty sure, come with CarPlay as standard. And so I feel that this car in some senses does kind of fall behind in its competitors. I mean, maybe slightly biased because I have a Golf R now as well. Now, obviously you can't actually have a fully virtual cockpit in the M140i. It's kind of half and half really, but to be honest, for a 2019 car, that is a little bit unheard of now and a little bit old technology, dare I say. So I feel that the interior of this car is in some instances quite basic. I mean, the seats, they're nice seats, they're just standard BMW seats. I'm pretty sure these come in the standard 1 series, but they're not very performance. I mean, you look at an M2, for example, they have special M2 designed seats, for example. Or even comparing this maybe to my A45S, you have the AMG bucket seats in that car, and of course that car is littered with screens. But in my case, when I bought my M140i, I came from a Mark 7.5 Golf R, where you have a lot of gloss black trim, you have obviously the big infotainment screen in the middle, which has CarPlay as standard, fully virtual cockpit, and so I think in some senses this car does fall behind in terms of spec and interior quality compared to some of its competitors. Unfortunately, I think outside that theme kind of does continue. Now, as I mentioned, this car is pretty heavily modified, especially from the front end, but these cars standard, if I'm being brutally honest, do not look anything special at all. There is no real crazy aero or, you know, special nice wheels or things like that. I mean, granted, it is quite nice to have a bit of a sleeper, you know, a car which goes completely under the radar, but for a car which has this much potential and is this unique really in the hot hatch market, it is a shame that it doesn't have more kind of nice bits from factory. And I think maybe that's the reason why so many people make these cars so crazy. I mean, this car in the Innotek Midnight Purple with the M2 competition style front end. Remember my car with the crazy livery on that thing. I feel that maybe because these cars are quite bland visually from standard, it's forced people to really go to town on them, make them crazy. And so I suppose maybe it's an obvious point for anyone out there looking to buy one, because you're more than likely going to modify it. You really do need to chuck some money at it to really bring it together. Nothing too crazy, I suppose. I mean, visually this car doesn't have a splitter or anything like that. Just some subtle bits to really bring it up and enhance how it looks. Some examples of what you can do really to enhance how the car looks is things like the mirror covers, or even like a little low-line kit with kind of a lip spoiler up there, different diffuser at the back. Just little things to really make the car pop a little bit. You can go the full hog by getting some side skirts, maybe a front splitter as well. But ultimately, visually, as I said, these cars could be better, if I'm being honest, compared to the cars which they go up against. Now, earlier I obviously expressed the importance of getting a diff on this car, limited slip diff. Now, there are a certain other few modifications which personally, me to you, I would really highly recommend doing if you are planning to modify the car. Now, handling is really right at the top of that list. You can chuck all the power you want at this car. I mean, mine on an E30 blend was running over 700 horsepower, which is crazy out of a little 1 series, but power is not everything. And I did learn that as I went along. Suspension on this car from standard is not great. Up towards higher speeds, say you're on track or at the Autobahn or at a drag strip or whatever, it can feel really floaty, almost as if you're not really connected to the car at all, you know, anything like that. And it is really quite sketchy and quite dangerous. So invest the money in suspension upgrades. I mean, these cars can be a great track car. Been out in a couple of really handling based cars and they handle really, really well. And that kind of off the back of that experience did push me to really look into some upgrades on mine at the time. I had just lowering springs on the car, but things like an anti-roll bar kit or an upgraded, more stiffer dampening setup, something like that to really stiffen up the car and make it give you more feedback when you're driving it, because ultimately, if you're driving these things hard, you don't want to feel disconnected to it, because that ultimately is going to end in disaster. Now, these cars, like pretty much any car on the road, do have a few little problems, but to be honest, these things are pretty bulletproof. This engine, the B58, is probably one of the best modern day engines across the board. And to be honest, seeing as these things are at the price point that they are right now, it is an absolute steal. You will be pleased to know that the known problems with these cars really are pretty minimal. Now that does depend on obviously the mileage of the car, how heavy you modify it, because these engines, whilst they are strong and they are really good for about 700 brake horsepower and about 800 Newton meters of torque, they aren't invincible. They will blow up if you put too much power on them. The two problems which I actually dealt with when I owned the car is actually, well, to be honest, fairly minor things. Now, the first of which is the more common of the two, which is the weird, mysterious coolant loss on these cars. Now, most commonly, it is actually to do with the cap. Over time, I presume the heat coming from the engine or whatnot would actually put little micro cracks within the cap, basically fracturing it, causing a little bit of coolant to basically seep out. However, that would be visible around the reservoir in the engine bay. It's rare to have a coolant leak which is kind of catastrophic really, where it will go from maximum to minimum in a short amount of time, but yet still leave no trace under the car. But it has been known, so really keep an eye on the coolant when you have the car. The other problem is actually more common when you modify the car. Now, to be honest, the most common modification stage to do on this car is a stage 2, which is basically a downpipe, a tune, and maybe an induction kit or panel filter. Now, with the downpipe on this car, whether you go for a sports cat or a full D cat, whatever you want to choose, you do basically have oxygen sensors or O2 sensors before and after the cat. If they fail or basically stop reading signals, it will throw an engine management light on the car, which, to be honest, apart from it being annoying and on the dash, doesn't affect how the car drives. Now, this is something that I did deal with the car actually pretty much when I was in the process of selling it to Ricky from LLF to give away on LLF Games. It cost a couple of £100 to fix. Now, it is worth noting, if you do have the problem, once you read the codes of the EML and it comes up that it's to do with the O2 sensor, don't just do the one which it's faulted. Do both of them. There are two, do both of them, because it's more than likely going to happen again for the other one. Other than that, really, these cars are pretty bulletproof, providing you keep up on the maintenance, you know, all the usual stuff. But yeah, a brilliant engine. Whether you keep the car stock or modify it to whatever stage you want to do, you'll have a lot of fun with it, no doubt. And actually, one thing to note quickly with the charge pipes, I've just remembered as well, it's not really too common. It's actually more common on the pre-facelifts of these cars, but they can fracture and crack, again, due to heat and age, that kind of thing. But having said that, fairly cheap to replace. I did it on my car, but yeah, something else to really note depending on how old and the mileage on the car in question. Generally speaking though, you really can't go wrong with these cars. I did about 25,000 miles in my car, and literally the only problem I had was the O2 sensors going. And to be honest, as I said earlier on in the video, it is quite incredible where these cars sit within the market. I mean, you can pick up a fairly new, decent one for kind of mid-20s, really, which is actually quite incredible for, of course, the B58, the thunderous 6-cylinder engine, rear-wheel drive, and still the ability to get a manual if you go for the pre-facelift. They are a great car, and I do miss mine, I'll be honest. One of the best cars I've ever owned, and I will probably own another one day, that is for sure. But yeah, only a few real things to note, to be honest, with the cars. They're not perfect, no car is perfect, but to be honest, anyone out there looking to buy either this or an M240i, you'll have a lot of fun. Just be careful for the reasons which I did note earlier on in the video. They're a fantastic car, and to be honest, I can see them in, you know, 20, 30 years being a bit of a classic, if I dare say that. Yeah, really is going to go down as to one of the greats, that is for sure. Now, a big thank you once again goes out to my buddy Jack for lending me the car for this video. It's a solid car, this. I've been out in it a couple of times, and it really is good fun. So if you want to learn more about it, what he's got planned for it, and just generally more content about it, you can find his link to his Instagram down in the description down below. But yeah, that is it from me today. I hope you guys have enjoyed another M140i back on the channel, which has been fun. Maybe one day I'll get another one for sure. Maybe my exact one. How cool would that be? But yeah, that is it for me today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please do make sure you leave a like and make sure you subscribe for all the adventures still to come.